probably have to go to headquarters and get somebody to do it for you.
I'm doing play-by-play, right? I'll do the intro, right? Let's see how it goes. I'll start, and we'll see. I'm very confident.
Let's go, people now!
Good afternoon and welcome to Windmill. We are about to watch the semi-final in the mixed division between Germany and France. My name is Sean Colfer and I'm here with
Hillary Humes.
And we are going to bring you the action between these two neighbours in the mixed division. We start with France on offense, working the disc with a horizontal stack, middle of the field, looking to get onto that break side.
Yes, bud!
Working at this point nicely here, good offensive flow. Will take his pass with that turnover. What happened there, Hillary?
An early turn for the French side, the German defense just putting too much pressure on them. Maybe it's Semi's jitters.
Big throw from Germany. And there's the first score of the game. Big throw from Julian Dartum and reeled in by Gerlinde Utsch for the first score, and Germany getting on the mark, got it off the mark with a break.
The German side just came off the back of a big win in an earlier game that I commentated against Goyota, the Tenerife team. They have an interesting offensive play that you will no doubt see, and I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on this. They do a gender split down the field, so if they're doing 4 men on the field, they'll be in the handler position, 4 handlers, 3 women downfield. Vice versa, if you've got 4 women, they'll have them handling and the men ISO down in the end zone, and it's generally only 1 person in the end zone. And it's working. It was working really well against the Spaniards, but I'll be really interested to see what the French can do today, whether they can recognize that early and shut down those options.
Yeah, it can be a risky strategy to leave people so far down the field, leave yourself with a few options. So, as you say, Hillary, let's see how that offense goes against what will be a good team here. France mixed on the #1 seed at this tournament so far, and dominating their matches against everyone else. And here goes their offense again. 2 quick passes, already halfway down the field, looking for options in the middle there. Hit called upfield. Looks as though the disc's going to stay where it is. Everyone looks happy enough with that. I don't think it really effective play. Right, Germans are all caught up. Off we go. France with the disc. Looking at that. Good marking from the Germans downfield. France working down that open sideline. All the way down that open sideline for a nice, easy score. The Germans just losing containment on the open side there.
space that they can, but it works for them.
Yeah, very slick offense from the French there. You can see them setting their cuts upfield, just getting across the face of her marker in front of cone there. Good score for the French. Good to get back in the positive after being broken on the first point. They're going to be looking to get back into this game on D now.
Certainly. The French, you see them set up in handler movements. They are so quick. I think that's part of the reason why they are one of the top picks here, is that that's really hard to defend when they are just so strong in those plays. If you were the German side, Sean, would there be anything that you would be doing or particularly looking to shut down?
I think the thing with the French that we've seen so far is they're very decisive with their movements. So maybe we tend to try forcing them into the middle of the field and take away those sidelines that worked very nicely on the sideline of both their offensive points despite that time. So I'd be looking to try and crowd that handler space as much as possible and use that decisiveness against them. We'll see how the Germans set up here. It's worked against them there because the French defender has overtaken her cutter. France now on offense with a very short field. Break throw, and there is break back. We are back on serve. France 2-1 up.
A phenomenal run-through block for French side, able to get that really quick release. And that's the thing with them, as you said, they're quite decisive with their moves. They don't give you a second to catch up and reset. You have to be on it. If you turn that disc, you have to be into defense straight away. There's not a second that can pass.
As we see the replay here, sets up the cut, back into the middle, and you can see the far side there. Really good breakthrough, good feet on the sideline. Good score for the French, but I think we saw there, Hillary, exactly what you talked about, isolating the 3 people downfield with the 4 handlers. And once one of those people cleared out, the female cutter coming under had such a long way to go, the defender had plenty of time to catch up to an overtake. So Germany now with their O-line out. Looks as though might have a dog on the field, but it's fine, it's fine, it's on the sideline. It's got a ball, it's launched in the frisbee at the moment. Hopefully it remains that way. Here we go, Germany on offense, catching the ball. There it is, centre. Out to this open side. Big block from Spiegel, looking for Klein in the end zone. Oh, great catch, just outside the end zone. Good pressure on the dunk from the French players, but it looks as though we have a travel call by Ronan Pichon on that hook from Spiegel.
Nice little spike of the disc back into the hands of the German side.
As we see the replay there, the travel must have come just before the action we saw. Must have come on a bend on the cut or something like that. Pichon, one of the main players of the French mixed team that went to semi-finals at World Championships in London. Returning to this very, very strong mixed outfit. Head on Euros this year in York. Down the line to climb. Still on the open side. Germany working all the way down there. And as he went back with the pass all the way down the open side, Germany leveling things up at 2-2.
It's neck and neck, and we knew this was going to be a nail biter of a game, Sean. Both teams, they're here to win, but they're here as a warm-up tournament for EUC in a few weeks' time.
Yes, there.
Yeah, both teams are going to have their eyes on a very different prize, but it's always nice to win tournaments. I'm sure they're both going to be going all out to see who can face the winner of the other semi-final going on the other field at the moment between Root, the reigning Windmill champions, and Shenanigans, the team from Las Vegas. We are focused on this all-European matchup, all-national team matchup. And there we go, we've got dog on the field again. Very, very excited little dog.
Incredibly cute little dog. Doesn't want to get off the field. Loves the action.
I was going to say, can't blame him. We've got some great action here. Just wants to be part of it. Well done to the French team. They managed to tempt him off. Now by the stands. So the Germans are ready. Signalling to the French. The French are ready. Germans.
it was floating so softly. I thought, this is such an excellent pull.
Just taking his eye off it, it's hitting the finger, and that is a turnover. Huge opportunity for the Germans here. Blade over the top from Gartlum. And that is the second break, for the Germans, and they have taken the initiative back. Game of runs here so far.
Classic German play there, isolating only one cutter in that space. The rest of the team at the back of the end zone. Those sorts of things are common when you'll see that the German side play, but they do it so well, they don't need to change a single thing.
See on the replay here, just moves his defender one way and then goes into the space behind, and he's picked out with a nice blade. Not very much wind here during this game, maybe slightly from left to right, but very, very still here at Windmill, considering the problems that we've had with the weather over the last 24 hours. Just for those of you who haven't tuned into any streams so far, today we have been affected by intense, heavy rainfall overnight. Started at some point around 4 or 5 a.m., carried on for 3 or 4 hours, soaked the fields. A few of them were waterlogged, not usable for a few hours, but the ground staff and the venue did an absolutely amazing job of making everything playable again. The tournament directors did a great job setting everything up so we can get back to seeing some great entertainment. Germany with a big pull, just landing out this time. It's close. France will be bricking it. France looking to get back on track after that drop pull. Setting up horizontal stack again. There, clearing out the open side. Strong handling from the German. Very close from there. France looking to move. Germans doing a great job stifling. Working onto the open side. Bailed out, I'm not sure that's what she was going for. And a big roll curve around the back of the end zone, into the back corner. France going wide open. It looked as though Germany tried to switch things up a little bit on the mark there, Hillary.
Yeah, a really brilliant dynamic move though from France, cutting across all the field, making space, generating lots of options for either one of the handlers. I loved how they switched it up a lot. It was like a cycle. It was like, as I come in to get the disc, there will be another dump there, which is a nice sort of way to play a game. You're not always having the same people resetting, and it keeps the game moving really quickly and dynamic.
Yeah, definitely, and I think the Germans might have heard what we were talking about, Hillary, because it looked to me as though that was an FM. The force was changing on both sides. Force was changing on both sides and made the French work for every inch of it there, but the French throwers good enough that they were able to exploit the space when they got it. So we are, I think we're at 3-3 now. The scoreboard on the field says 3-3. We'll check that out on your stream. Big pull for France. Germans catching it in their own end zone. Germans changed things up slightly now. Looks like a more vertical structure rather than the one that Hilly was talking about earlier. Big gainer down the open sideline. Germany trapped on that sideline, trying to get it off. Young in to the centre. Young again, over to Klein. Climbing the disc, looking for options at field. Can't see anything he likes. France doing a good job downfield here, really limiting the options. Big blade over to the far side of the field. Henius, back to Young. Looks for that blade into the end zone, decides against it. Climb with the disc, just outside the end zone. No mark on him as yet. Back to Young. Decides against that. High release backhand break. Back to Klein. Big German with the disc. Hyung on the sideline now, looks at his dunk. Fakes that high release again, Klein in the middle. France doing a really good job keeping Germany out of the end zone here. Looks like a travel, Klein back out. Hyung goes into the end zone, Klein isolated now, hasn't really got many options. Hyung comes back. Looks at the break side, great footwork there from Verena Becker, and that is a score for Germany. But France kept them out for quite some time there, Hillary.
Fantastic play from the German side. They did seem a little tired earlier on in that point, getting stalled and a bit stagnant down the line, as we saw the effective defensive program of the French team stopping every single option. And it was a Hail Mary pass across the field at a high stall count that rescued them and got that momentum that they needed.
Yeah, the Germans not afraid to take on those big, aggressive options when absolutely necessary. Clearly showed as well they've got good disc skills, good patience around the back there. Kept hands on discs for a long time. And we just see a replay of the score that puts them ahead again. So Germany coming out on D again against this French O-line. Germany seems to be mixing up their offensive structure a little bit. They went more to a normal vertical structure there, Hillary. Do you think this is something we might see Germany trying different things offensively, defensively, trying to find ways to get an advantage against this very strong French team?
Indeed. With such a force to be reckoned with the French side, Germany's probably coming to this quite analytically, thinking about what they can do to shut down those options, as we saw them putting on a zone. It was quite effective against Yoda. We'll see how it goes against the French side.
Yeah, we've seen this before from the Germans. They like having their 3 female players when they're on the field in a cup, and having the male players marking spaces downfield. They've been picked apart a little bit by the French down this near sideline as we look at the game. We're looking from a very similar perspective to you, and the French have been going right to left with consummate ease at the moment. Making up yards, and someone wide open in the front corner there. I'm not 100% sure that zone quite worked as they wanted it to, Hillary.
The French side definitely able to move down the line so quickly and quite comfortably. They weren't pressured by it at all. They were just happy to maintain the pace that they had, maintain the possession of the disc, and move slowly. And I don't think that the cut was necessarily set up, when you got close to the end zone line. I think they could have clamped in a little bit more. I think they were a bit loose, and it might have been an opportunity instead of, it's tricky in these moments whether you should transition to a match defense when you get closer to the end zone. That might have played a difference in the result that we saw.
Yeah, perhaps as you say, it's one of those things that comes with real practice and cohesion and deciding when exactly you want to switch to a match D. With the Germans there leaving someone unmarked in the front corner, as we see. French player catching it in plenty of space. We are knotted back up at 4 apiece. And the French D-line coming out. You see Bichon with the disc in his hands, ready to get us underway here. Another big ball from the French. Germans just outside their own end zone, coming to this near side. Spiegel. Looking for an option. We're back in this 4-player isolation. Hyung, Klein, just upfield. Spiegel. Ooh, a French poach block close there. Thrown over to the side of the field to Klein. Klein with a height mismatch, whoever's marking him, but just cannot find his player down the sideline there. It looks as though that's Lizzie Gerischer, can't quite connect with the layout bid. And here come France. Chassigneau. Pass into the center of the field. So Gabriel there. Bichon with the expansive hammer out to the far side. the dump. Not much space there. Bichon running into the break space, just outside the end zone. Marked by Spiegel, looking at his dump. Not much movement here for the French, but that doesn't matter for Bichon. Lovely throw underneath the force, front corner. Another goal for France.
As we said earlier, they're so quick on the turn. They can give you any moment to transition, and they're just so fast with their decision making. Their throws are pinpoint accurate.
And that is a break for France, which puts us back on serve again. 2 breaks each. And France having started on offense at 5-4. We see here Bichon with the disc. Spiegel standing pretty upright. Bichon's looking at his dump, decides he doesn't need it, goes underneath the force, and there we go. I'll have that, thank you. So France going out on D. German O-line back out. Some familiar faces there for the Germans. We see Julian Datum, Ronja Verstenrich, among others. Datum with the disc in the middle of the field. Handle play, Datum goes deep. Great catch there. Nice, easy goal to Wallace. Great throw from Datum. Clearly a handle play called off the line there. They're going to need more of those, aren't they, Hillary?
That was a big play from the German side. Get that disc moving downfield. Let's just hit it with a huge huck. Comes off pretty specky and nice. But I think it'll take more than that to take up this French side, as they're a very skilled team. They've got a huge depth of players.
You can see there, it looks as though Datum's thrown it, despite the fact he's being forced backhand. He's gone underneath his mark. It's an excellent throw. You can see close up here. He's under a lot of pressure. Jigs a little and gets it out all the way in front of the receiver, who has a height mismatch. He is shorter than his defender, but doesn't matter when you read the disc that well. Germany tying us back up at 5-5, and it's been a very, very close game in the early goings, Hillary. I think we might be in for an exciting game here.
That's what we came here to see. The French and the German side, both eager to take this tournament out. Both here for that final bit of preparation for the EUC tournament in a few weeks' time. But right now we're here at Windmill, and this is the semis.
Double A. Moving it around the back. It's Combray on the disc. Back to this. Cut from the Germans. Back into the center. Rosarier. French moving the disc quickly down this sideline. Centered. Very close German hands swinging at the disc there. Combray on this near side. German Cup quite active. And now encroaching in, the men compressing the space. Boyan back into Combray. France, middle of the field. They've had a lot of passes so far, and we're only just past the brick mark. Good zone D from the Germans there, and it's a poach. Great catch in the middle from Combray. German player came in thinking he'd spotted it. Rosen was going to be able to go and get that block, but fantastic catch from the Frenchman. Has kept possession. He's now trapped on this sideline again. Big rolling swing out to the far side. Plenty of space over there. Same again over this side. The French taking advantage of the fact there's very little wind, and there's all the way across again, and there we go. 3 full pitch width passes, and it's a goal for France.
Phenomenal throw over the top. Combray with that perfectly pitched arcing blade. The French side were a little caught up by the German zone earlier in that point, but they just managed to kill the nerves. There was no issue whatsoever. They had such good composure, and Combray coming over the top with this impressive grab.
It's a great catch.
When you've got players like that on your team, the confidence that it implores amongst the other players is so impressive. It really boosts the team when you have players who can do quite magical things like that on the field.
It certainly does, and when you have players who can bail you out when the defense there made a great read, it looked for all the world as though the defender was going to be able to get in there, rose in and get that block, but France managed to maintain possession, as you say, work through the difficult moments earlier on in the point, and then go expansive for that impressive score. That takes it to 6-5. Germans out on offense. Quick movement out just over the brick mark now in the centre of the field. Kyung on the disc. And again, French defender has overtaken her mark there. Céline Antoine with a great block, and the French D-line with a chance to punch it in and get them a lead. Give and go. Gets them into the final third. Nice pass down the open side. Again down that open side, they're working all the way down that sideline. Strong mark trap there, but dunked back into the center. They come out of that end zone, making things easy for the thrower. And a timeout called. Good call there from the French player. Name here is Susu. Only needs one name. Well, I'm sure we'll see impressive things from a man with only one name. What did you think there, Hillary?
Interesting move calling a timeout. I know that they were a little flustered. There was a number of cuts, and it was an unusual time for them because they are so clean and clinical in offense, the French side. I think they just needed to compose themselves. What did you think, Sean?
It's often one of those things, isn't it, calling a timeout so close to the end zone, particularly when they weren't necessarily struggling to move the disc. But I think you're right. They want to set up a particular movement. They want to get their offense really set. Come out of this with a play that they like, to a cutter that they think is going to be able to get free. I think, particularly given that with the slightly shorter games that we have here at Windmill, because of the weather, we are down to 55-minute game slots. And this game started 25 minutes ago, so we're already nearly halfway through. I believe half is now at 7, so this is an important point to the French one to set something up to take that half.
As you say, Sean, they have an opportunity to set something up exactly what they want, so why wouldn't you call that timeout, really, in response to that? They could have gotten that score earlier if they wanted to, but they have the option to play the type of frisbee that they want. So the German side are going to have to dig deep and cut options off. Work rate needs to be 100% from every single one of those players if they want to stay in this game.
Interesting look from the Germans here. They've set up in a zone protecting the end zone. We have again 3 women out protecting the backfield, 2 men protecting the back cones. Looks as though we have a far female player protecting that back cone over there, and then we have the imposing figure of Klein patrolling the center of the end zone. Already pushed the French back a good 10-15 yards here, crowding the disc. They've got 5 players within 10 yards. And
Sean, that was almost a hand block from the German player.
An interesting throw choice to just pop it off despite intense pressure, and German gets in there. Looks as though there might be a call. Lizzie Gerischer getting in on the frisbee, but yeah, it looks as though Aman Susu has called, he's definitely called an injury. Has he called a foul as well? Bichon comes on. Looks to me as though it might be a turnover. Great interception there from Gerischer to take the disc away, and that German D coming out of that timeout was absolutely fantastic. And they are wasting no time. Big hut to the end zone. Great score for the Germans. Momentum swinging stuff here. An end zone
Timeout for the French, looking to execute, but no, the Germans steal it away. We're back to 6-6.
What a way to finish that point, Sean, and level it 6-6. Not only was their defense so incredibly strong, it pushed the French side back meters almost to the halfway mark. Their reaction to getting that turn isn't to pass it through, huck it deep, make it look good, and it certainly did.
It did, as we see a replay of that. An excellent catch from Becker, and the Germans are pumped. They are very, very ready to keep going in this game. Hedenius, the captain, just picks it up and lets it fly. Great throw, great cut. Good pressure from the French player there. But Becker comes down with it, and we're at 6-6. I believe they call this Galaxy Point, don't they, Hillary?
Indeed they do.
I'm not sure how I feel about that terminology, if I'm honest, but we are there. It is 6-6, this point for half. And the Germans coming out on D. Looks as though they've got Julian Darteman, who's played offensive points to this point. Mixing things up a little to try and get an advantage. Big pull and caught by Ronan Bichon, who again has been playing mostly D for France. So both teams taking this point very seriously. Bichon, marked by Spiegel. Big throw from Bichon. German defender misreads. French just outside the end zone. Once again, can they convert this time around? And a pick called in the stack in the end zone. France with the disc on that far side, just outside the end zone, 5 yards out. All the Germans in place. Tight marks. Good handler mark from Darton, but it looks as though we have another pick, potentially a violation, some early movement from someone. Nope, disc staying where it is. No effect in the backfield. Looking for the high release. Good mark from Germany. Swung across the front, and that is an unforced turnover from France. 2 possessions in a row. They've been just outside the end zone, Hillary, and they have not managed to convert.
Quite an uncharacteristic key of events that have just happened here on the French side. The pressure is mounting for them, and we see a huge block! A hero move.
And there's another call. It looks as though Bichon is calling an injury. All happening in this point. Germany doing all the hard work, getting the disc back, and then a block off the first pass. Just managing to swing a hand in there was Pierre-Alexandre Monet and knock it away, and they are picking it up, France, pretty much where they had it after that hook. So a second chance.
So the player who just came on the field, the injury replacer, just has to tap his hand on the ground to resume play. It's part of the rules.
Here we go, France. Managing to execute this time around, the substitution paying dividends, and France take that 7-6 lead, but Germany right in this game, Hillary.
What didn't work last time certainly worked this time, and the French weren't going to make that same mistake again. A clean shot. We are 7-6. The French up, taking half. What might we see next from the German side? How will they respond?
So we come out, as luck would have it, considering that both teams have essentially held serve
In that first half, we come out exactly as we were, but the Germans are now choosing the gender split, and they go with 4 women. They'll be looking to isolate those women downfield, as Hillary said. The Germans very keen on the kind of isolation dominator type play, but France have worked pretty well against it so far. So here we go with the second half. 7-6 to France, very tight game, very close game. Both teams getting turns and breaks. And we see now, just as Hilary pointed out earlier, all 4 women in the backfield for Germany. And that is a big, big throw. And that's heavy contact from the Germans. Looks as though there's a collision. She's going over, rushing over as hard as she can to try and get towards that big aggressive backhand blade. But Becker misses the disc and just runs into her teammate. She looks okay, going up under her own power. Nothing I think Wayne could do about getting out of the way there. It's just one of those unfortunate moments. But France with the disc after very aggressive play from the Germans.
Sean, that was what I was talking about before, which you did acknowledge. The French are now recognizing that type of play, locking in on that tight defense, not allowing many options as we see them.
Going up the line there, very close to a German D. Back towards the center. Both Germans going with the up the line cut. Force back on. France center the disc. Really tight handler marks, but a good throw into space. And there we go. That is a break for the French. A poach trying to minimize the space for the throw, but leaving someone open just behind them. And coming straight out of half with a break. France back up now with a 2-point lead, 8-6.
French just move so quickly in their handler movements. It's such a difficult thing to defend. And for the German side, that's something that I would be focusing in on. When the French have the disc in hand, they like to do a lot of handler movements. They're not swinging it deep, or they're not shooting it deep as much as they are just playing amongst their handlers, waiting for that catch to come off.
Yeah, you see on the replay here, centers the disc, we come back into the middle, and then we go out to the side with a really nice lead pass into that space. The mark of the front of the stack comes off and leaves them wide open for the score. Good stuff from France. Germany, immediate adversity coming out of half. But they've battled back in this game before, they're going to have to do it again. We have another call of 4 women here. Good to see both teams utilizing the strong female players in their squad. Great pull chase from France, pinning the Germans in their own end zone. Long shot turned down there. German player in plenty of space. Erdmann downfield, but they elect to keep it moving around the back. Looking for Spiegel, but it's just out of his reach, and France go with the early start. Looking to quickly get this into the end zone. Good swing out to the far side. Turns down the break. Up the line, wide open, and another break for France, and they are now 3 points ahead, 9-6.
French certainly have that momentum, and they've shifted into 5th gear, taking everything with them. That defensive play from the French, running down hard after that pull, locking in on that one dump on the German side, shutting down so many of those options. They didn't even make it past their end zone line. The Germans are going to have to do something different here, Sean. They're going to have to mix it up. I think it's a case of maybe huck and hope to just get them out of those spaces in those situations.
You can tell they're clearly trying to play clinical, good offense, but they definitely had a player going deep there, had plenty of space. It's 2 offensive points for Germany coming out of half, and they've had 2 breaks. This is the kind of situation where you see the mettle of a team. You see how they're going to react in difficult situations. 2.5 weeks out of Euros. This could be very valuable experience for Germany, or it could be confirmation that there's still things they need to work on. But the French have their tails up at the moment. 2 breaks in a row, 3-point lead. Place in the final is within their grasp. Germany now. Middle of the field. Shimmy shake from Huang, and we're out to the far side. Mock back into the center. Back over to Huang. Fakes the huck. Stifling D downfield from France. Shutting down those long options. And that looks to me like a strip, and it looks like both players agree. Yeah, Huang had his hands around that one. In the middle of the field, no stall. Dials up that big pass, but there's no one cutting deep. Mock now. Back to Huang. Great mark downfield by the French, means there's no space for that hook. Mock again. This near side, looking at Huang. Bichon on the mark. Huang again. Up the line to Klein. Sure, just reeled in by Huang. Really fingertips stuck from the Germans. They're having to push the margins because the French are pushing them all the way, and that is a fantastic block by the French. Another block where the cutter has just been able to, the cutter mark has been able to overtake. And as soon as that disc comes out the hands, you can see the French player coming in, Hillary.
The defensive coverage on the French team is phenomenal. It's hard to tell whether Germany is giving them options or if it's just the fact that the French side is just so good all over the field.
And that is a very unusual mistake from Ronan Bichon. And then he's beaten in the end zone. Bichon is under pressure, but he's just let that go underneath his hand. And a nice throw from the Germans. And that let them out of jail a little bit because the French D was absolutely phenomenal there, Hillary.
It was beyond anything that they could have ever wished for. That defense was shutting down almost every single option there was. All those players, their work rate was so high. They were hip to hip with every single one of the matched up pairs. The French side, there's a reason why they were the betters' favourites here to make it into the finals. It's not over for the German side. But the things need to shift, and it's really hard because you can't control the other team. You can only control yourself and your movements. And when the team has such a fantastic defensive play, what more can you do, Sean?
It's tough. They did all the work they needed to do. You saw on the replay there when the disc goes just into Bichon's hand. He looks to the skies, loses track of his mark, and that gives the Germans the opening they needed. But the Germans are coming back out on D now, and this is a very, very big point for Germany. They really need this because there's not long left. And the French are sitting pretty with a 2-point lead. So France with the disc, middle of the field after a pit call. Look to be back out in a horizontal setup, 3 handlers. Curtis coming back inside. French happy to just move it around the handlers. A big block there from the Germans.
That's just what they need. Keep that momentum going and move the disc quickly.
Germany now with the disc. Throw to Wallace just outside the end zone. Back to Darton. Great inside throw. Gets it back again. Centering pass is available. Takes it. Out to the far sideline. Germany being very patient here, not forcing anything. And there it is. Wallace towing it in on the front of the end zone. Big break for Germany, bringing it back to 9-8. Still 1 point down. Still a game here, Hillary.
He's been practicing his toe point pirouettes because that was a beautiful towing of the line. The German side managing to get that block just what they needed to. Closing on that deficit against the French side. this is what we were asking them to do. This is what they needed to do. Change it up. Defense will win you the game. Now they'll have to come out in an even stronger defense. I wonder if they'll put on a zone again. Probably not. Actually, now that I think about how the French side just dominated that space in the offensive play.
They've had a few turns from match D here after switching back to it. I think you're right, Hillary. I think they're probably going to look to stick with that. They're generating some good pressure here, getting hands on discs, putting bodies in the way, really affecting this French offense, taking them out of their rhythm.
As other games wrap up during the day, our stadium is starting to fill up with more supporters for both sides, and I'm sure that's certainly going to give both teams a little bit more of that effort that we need.
Well, look at that. You mentioned it, and we both thought they'd come out with a match D, but they have come with the cup again. We have Erdmann, female player, as the deepest at the moment, and Spiegel sends her back under. 4 female players around the disc at the moment. And it looks as though we have a cup, but Germany looking like they're playing an assassin on one of the French players, but Erdmann drops out again. Unusual D here from the Germans. Erdmann is dropping in and out of that cup, but France working it pretty well. Over the top, into that big space on this near sideline. Bichon again with the disc. Playing an offensive point again. Big, high leverage moment. Brings out one of their star players, fakes the hammer, doesn't want that. Easy pass back into the center again. German cup reforming. And hands on discs, and it's another turnover for Germany. Far too casual with the throw over the top to Bichon. And it's a great hand on a disc from Weiss. You see her here, just put her hands up and get in the way. So Germany now with the disc in what could be a crucial moment, and Spiegel takes a timeout so they can compose themselves. What about that, Hillary?
My goodness, that was such a subtle little touch initially by that German player, and then Weiss just looks up, sees that that disc is bobbling, and she slams it into the ground. An example, because we know so well you've got to catch your Ds, you've got to make sure that that's going to hit the ground. The German side have shocked me. Every time I'm saying they're going to need to shift it up and do something different, they actually do. It's like they're listening to me. It's like they've got headsets on down there on the field. If you had to say anything to either team, because clearly they're listening to us, the way that they're playing, what would you say?
Oh, who'd want to miss out on this tactical insight? We're calling things before they happen, Hillary. I mean, I'd say to the Germans, you just need to keep your heads here. They've shown, the D-line has shown that they can execute, they can get breaks. They've had plenty in this game already. The French, on the other hand, they're going to have to dial it all the way back up again, because this is now an absolutely crucial moment in this game. With only 9 minutes left before time is over, we are getting to the stage of the game where it's the business end, and this is going to decide who goes to the final.
This is the pointy end of the game. These are the moments that really matter. And when you've got a huge crowd like we do here, there's no point but throwing everything on the line, putting everything in this last little game. Worry about the energy loss later. You can recover tonight. Push yourself that little bit further.
Yeah, this is much more like the European Championships than any game these teams would have played before. They don't have to worry about doing anything later on, as Hillary says. They can just put everything into these next few points. And Spiegel with a wrap around the back and a hook, and that is a picture perfect shot right into the end zone. Unmarked player, clearly a play that Germany drew up, and that worked like a dream, Hillary.
As you said, just like a dream, just as they prescribed it. That play went off without a hitch. Huck it deep. We've got the receiver ready. We know what to do.
you see here, Spiegel gets it back. Bichon overcommits slightly, trying to take away that continuation. And it does not matter because Rosin had gone deep, had plenty of space, and Spiegel drops it into his pocket. So here we go. Semi-final at Windmill. Two international teams, two strong international teams, and we are at 9-9 with all to play for. Might be able to hear on the sideline, looks like we have some French fans here. Getting quite loud over here, clearly backing their countrymen and women. It's been good spirit in this game as well, Hillary. You see teams hand slapping on the sideline, congratulating each other for a game well played so far.
I think that's part of the reason why we all love playing in this Frisbee community, is that we're just here to have fun and play hard, athletic, ultimate.
France coming out with a side stack this time. I'm not sure we've seen that one before. Still with the three handlers, looking to isolate cutters in as much space as possible. And there's a stoppage here. Maybe Shock has called a pick. There's a pick in the stack. Datum is just off the disc. He's going to be catching up. The French switching up their offense a bit here, trying to find something else that can give them an advantage. Tap back in. Datum uses his feet to prevent that big shot. The French stuck on that far sideline at the moment. Strong downfield D from the Germans. The French are working it up a little bit at a time. A cheeky high release. Throw to the dump there, travel called. Sure, pointing very clearly at where he thinks the thrower's pivot point should be. Chevalier mustn't have heard him, threw it anyway, but we're back now into the center of the field. The two German players with a couple of buzz switches there. Schock looking at the dump. France, a handler slightly isolated, but a good move back by his teammate. France setting up with the dump on the break side, trying to isolate as much space as they can on that open side. The stack is still a little far over, clearly looking to isolate as much space as they can. Swirling around, Shook following the handler. Strong handler D. A nice throw and a good catch, and there's the hook the French have been looking for. Nice catch at the back of the end zone, put into a really tight space where the defender had absolutely no shot at it.
Caught just in time, right before that end zone line. The French side came out there with so much force and intensity. And both teams are so hungry for this match. I mean, they both want to get into the finals. That's what they came here to do. We really don't have very much longer in this match. And it's going to be a case of whoever has the disc last may just be the winner.
Yes, it's been very tight all the way through. It looked at one point, beginning of the second half, that France were going to start to pull away. France have been so far the best mixed team at this tournament. They breeze through their competition, but the Germans have been giving them all they can handle here. And we are 10-9 now. The French up. 3 minutes left in the game. And the kind of situation now where this is where Germany want to be, and this is where you come to these kind of tournaments. This is where you find things out about your team. It's going to be extremely valuable ahead of the huge European Championships in Győr in 2.5 weeks. Germans using this structure that Hillary talked about, isolating players downfield. One of their female players comes under massively poached, using that space. Pick called, people tying up in front of them. It looks as though the German player is saying he doesn't think that Bichon was within 5 meters of him to call a pick, but all resolved now. Self-tap, off we go. Germans in the middle of the field. Looking for a dump. Hyung out to Spiegel. Spiegel hasn't got much, and another call from France. Potentially a foul call there. Did Spiegel step on it? It looks as though he did. Looks like he stepped on his foot accidentally as he came down after catching the disc. These kind of moments as well where two calls, both perfectly fine calls, but they just slow the game down slightly and they add to the pressure the Germans will be feeling in this crucial offensive point. Hyung, their main hander all game. Big bid for Ronan Bichon, and there's a strip called here. Clearly differences of opinion between the two players. Very, very close. Hidenius coming back, the captain, to offer his view. Massive bid from Bichon. You can see on that slowed down replay, they've both got their hands around the disc. Hidenius is talking to his teammates downfield, trying to tell them where he wants them. Has to get rid of it. And it's a block from France. A stall out called. The German player indicating that it would be contested. You would think if the German player is going to contest it, the France player is going to withdraw this call and it's going to be a turnover in any case. And there goes the music. As you say, Hillary, we see you taking the headphones off to get a better listen. The time is now up. We finished this point, and this would be France's opportunity to go and win the game. So we have a contested stall out, but the players agreeing that that means it is a turnover. So France, full field to go, score and you win the game.
If they don't, if the German side manage somehow, whatever athletic miracle that they do, turn it and get on offense again, we will have to play to another point. Because there can be no draws in a semi-final. We must know who will be in the finals tomorrow.
An absolutely filthy IO backhand there. Up the line. France with the disc. Big hammer out to this far side. Klein a little bit too far away from his mark to put pressure on it. France with the disc. Into the center of the field. France moving it from side to side. Travel called. Break the mark. Ronan Bichon. Pick of some. There's a call anyway because one of the German players is down. Not sure what that call is. She's down for a little while there. Laura Chagnon thought she'd won the game, but we reset. You can see pretty clearly here that Bichon has an avenue to throw into. Chagnon has time, has space. Is Bichon going to take this on? We will find out very soon. Germany as well, of course, can see how much space that cutter is in. Going to try and take that away. Game on the line for France here. There's no one else they'd want to be holding that frisbee in this situation. Chagnon turns it down, back into the center. Bichon still with the disc, looking at his options, looks at his dump. Beautiful inside throw. Looks as though there's a pick. Don't think it affected that throw, so we are staying on the far side. Great cut by there for the French player. Can't quite get free, but Chagnon can, and that is great footwork to keep her back foot in, toe the line, score the point, and win the game for France.
Oh goodness, Sean, as you say, superb footwork. She'll be dancing up a storm tonight with that impressive hop and step to keep that disc alive and score the final point, giving it the score 11-9 to France. What a fantastic game and a big matchup from the neighboring sides. What was your final take from this game, Sean?
The Germans made this really tough on a very, very talented, very, very dominant so far in this tournament French side. They played at the absolute peak of their powers. We see the replay of the final point here. The throw bouncing slightly, but Shino is all the way up, toes the line. She knows straight away she's got it. Teammates surrounding her, lots of hugs. I think the French have shown that they're a side to reckon with both here in the final and in EUC, but the Germans have given notice they are not to be counted out. What did you think, Hillary?
I thought it was such a well-spirited game. Both sides, as you said earlier, were high-fiving and rejoicing in their joy, and I saw a German player cheer when that Frenchman scored that final goal. What an incredible moment. But there's so much more on tomorrow. We have the other mixed semis still currently in play, so if you can, switch over to that channel between the Las Vegas side and Rut. No doubt it's tied up, very close. I've been Hillary Humes.
And I've been Sean Colfer. We've been calling the action on this fantastic semi-final, and we will see you for the finals of Windmill tomorrow. Thank you.